Murray Bauman is one of those characters from Stranger Things who walks onto the screen and immediately feels real, not because he's a heroic scientist or a kid with superpowers, but because he's just a tired, grumpy man who has seen too much and is deeply unimpressed by it all. At first glance, he's simply the cynical, conspiracy theory-obsessed former journalist living in a messy cabin, a figure of fun who shouts about government cover-ups. But if you listen closely to his constant stream of sarcastic comments, his deadpan delivery in the face of pure terror, and his refusal to be awed by the supernatural chaos unfolding around him, you start to understand something crucial. Murray's humor isn't just a personality quirk, it's his armor, his language, his very sophisticated coping mechanism for existing in a world that has proven to be infinitely more terrifying and absurd than even his wildest conspiracy theories imagined. He uses cynicism as a shield against the sheer, overwhelming dread of the upside down, making him one of the most relatable and human characters in the entire series. To get why Murray is the way he is, you have to go back to before we even met him. His backstory is that he was a serious investigative journalist who actually uncovered a small piece of the truth about Hawkins' lab, only to be ridiculed, discredited, and driven out of his career. The world told him he was crazy when he was actually right. That experience fundamentally broke his trust in official narratives and the general public's perception of reality. So, he retreated into his cabin and his conspiracy boards, but that retreat wasn't passive. It was an active choice to view the entire world through a lens of suspicion and ironic detachment. When the show introduces him, he's already operating on the principle that the worst is probably true, and everyone in authority is probably lying. This preset, cynical mode is his baseline defense. It means he's never caught off guard by betrayal or bad news. Expecting the worst is his way of never being disappointed or frightened anew. He's already braced for impact at all times. So, when Joyce and Hopper come to him with a story about a secret Russian base, he's not shocked. He's almost gratified. His humor in these early moments, the dry remarks about their relationship, the sarcastic asides about the impossibility of their task, serves to normalize the insanity. By cracking a joke about drilling through the earth, he's intellectually and emotionally bringing this colossal danger down to a manageable size, something he can process and analyze, rather than just fear. This becomes even clearer when Murray is thrust into the heart of the supernatural madness. Consider the incredible scene in the Russian prison where he and Hopper are attacked by a Demogorgon. Here is a man, a normal human with no fighting skills, facing a literal nightmare monster from another dimension. His reaction is not a scream of pure horror, though that would be completely understandable. Instead, he lets out a weary, almost exasperated, "You have got to be kidding me." This line is the perfect key to understanding Murray's soul. The humor is bone dry and rooted in utter disbelief. It's the reaction of someone whose worst expectations have not only been met but have been spectacularly exceeded in a way that's almost insulting in its absurdity. The joke is a barrier between him and the paralyzing terror. By framing the Demogorgon as a nuisance, as the universe's final, ridiculous joke on him, he steals a bit of its power. He can't control the monster, but he can control his reaction to it, and he chooses to greet the apocalypse with a sarcastic quip. It keeps him functional. It keeps him thinking. In that moment, the humor is what allows him to survive, to later grab the sword and help fight back. Without that cynical shell, the raw terror might have simply frozen him in place. Furthermore, Murray's humor acts as a social tool and a truth-teller in the group dynamics of the show. He often says out loud what the audience and the other characters are feeling but are too polite or too traumatized to articulate. When he acts as an awkward, brutally honest couples therapist for Joyce and Hopper, his observations are funny because they are painfully true. He cuts through their endless bickering and unspoken tension with the precision of a surgeon, using humor to deflect the discomfort of his own intrusion. He's not being cruel, he's using cynicism as a solvent to break down the emotional barriers they've built up, barriers that are preventing them from working together to save the world. He applies the same principle to the giant, scary problems they face. By joking about the American who rescued me from prison being Hopper, or about the chaotic plan to stop Vecna, he's demystifying the mission. He creates a sense of camaraderie through shared, weary acknowledgement of their impossible situation. It's a way of saying, this is all completely insane, we will probably die, but since we're here, we might as well laugh about it. This kind of gallows humor is a classic bonding mechanism in high-stress situations, and Murray is the master of it. He brings the other characters into his cynical worldview, not to depress them, but to unite them and prepare them mentally for the battle ahead. Ultimately, Murray's journey shows that his cynicism isn't the endpoint of his character, it's the tool that protects the idealist still hiding inside. The true proof that his humor is a coping mechanism and not his core belief is seen in his actions, which are consistently, bravely altruistic. He risks his life repeatedly. He helps reunite families. He fights monsters. He believes Joyce and Hopper when no one else would. The cynical humor is the crust around a soft center that still cares deeply. It allows that soft center to operate without being constantly crushed by the weight of a horrifying reality. By expecting the worst and laughing at it, he makes it possible to still hope for and fight for the best. In the final seasons, we see the shield crack a little. His emotional breakdown when he thinks Joyce and Hopper are dead, his genuine fear and tears, show what that humor has been protecting all along, a man who is terrified of losing the people he's come to care about. The humor returns, of course, because the danger hasn't gone away, and he still needs the tool to function. In the end, Murray Bauman represents a very human way of dealing with a world that makes no sense. When faced with unimaginable darkness, be it government conspiracies, interdimensional monsters, or the simple, profound pain of human connection, some people fight, some people hide, and some people, like Murray, crack a joke. His cynicism is his flashlight in the dark, his way of mapping a frightening landscape and making it navigable. He teaches us that humor, especially the dark, sarcastic kind, isn't always a sign of not taking things seriously. Often, it's the opposite. It's the sound of someone taking things so seriously that they have to build a mental fortress of wit to stand facing them at all. In the chaotic, doomed-feeling universe of Stranger Things, Murray's laughter in the face of the Demogorgon isn't madness, it's the sanest possible response. It is the humor of the doomed, a way to spit in the eye of the apocalypse and say, "You have got to be kidding me," and then pick up a sword and get to work anyway. And in that, he becomes not just the comic relief, but the emotional anchor, showing us that sometimes, the only way to stay sane in an insane world is to never stop pointing out just how absolutely ridiculous the whole terrifying mess really is.